week we're voting here in the United States for our president, and I got to tell you, this outcome of this election is going to be fascinating. So in honor of that, I thought I would do a quilt block called Voter's Choice, and that is exactly what we're doing. We the voters are choosing. This one is going to have some little different shortcuts in it, so you're going to want to stay tuned and see how I handle this. And welcome to quiltblocklibrary.com. This is Penny Holgren showing you how to sew this Voter's Choice quilt block together. We'll start right now. I'm always looking for a shortcut to sewing blocks together, and one of the things that I notice about this block is that it's got these strips. And you could take each one of these little bars and cut them out as rectangles and sew them together individually. However, because I'm familiar with strip piecing, what I'm going to do is make all these all kind of at once. And the way I do that is to cut longer strips out of the fabrics. So as you can see, this is white, blue, white, so I've got two strips of white with a blue that's going down the center. So I'm going to do that, and what I did was to figure out how much. I just took this, I'm only making one block, so I just took the measurement for here and multiplied it by 4. So I'm making these 3.5 inches, so I'm going to make the strip somewhat in excess of 14 inches. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a white strip and sew it to a blue strip, and I'll be right back after I've got that finished. I've got the blue strip and the white strip sewn together, so now I'm just going to add this white strip onto that unit and we'll be all set. We'll have enough fabric to make those 3 patches. These are all sewn together, so I've got enough to make those 3 patches, and I'm going to cut that apart in a few minutes. Now for the center patch, we've got all the pieces cut out, and I'm going to strip piece these together. So the first thing I'm going to do is fold the right side onto the left side, and then I'm going to sew those together. I've left these pieces attached, and now I'm just going to sew the third side on. So just 1, 2, 3, and hook those up. Now that the rows are sewn together, I'm just going to flip these, sew the top row together, the top 2, and then the bottom one. You can see I've got the top 2 rows sewn, and then I'm just going to flip this bottom one up and sew it on. I've got this block sewn together, this little patch, and it actually fits this way inside the block. So I think I will just put that down on my flannel board ready to sew together. The next thing I'm going to do is sew these corner half square triangles together. So these are pretty simple, and you can see I just have a stack of them. I need 4 of them for each block, so I'm just going to run these through the machine. Now the block is all laid out and ready to sew together, so I'm just going to pick up the center row and fold it on top of the left row and sew those patches together, chain sewing them, so I'm going to leave them attached in between the patches. These pairs are finished, and now I'm just going to add these on to finish each one of the rows. One of the things I noticed as I was sewing this together is that this center block is very stretchy, or the center triangle is very stretchy, so you're going to want to be very careful when you sew that together. The other thing to notice is that this center stripe does not match that triangle, so don't try to match those up, just try to get them centered. And again, just be sure that you don't stretch this patch as you're sewing this seam together, because it will want to do that. Now we have the 3 rows sewn together, so the next step is just to take the top row, fold it down, and as you can see I still have the bottom row attached. That way I don't have to keep on lining things up and checking to be sure that everything is in its right spot, because right now they're all attached and they're not going to get out of place. So I'm just going to take this and carry it over to move it to my machine and sew it. The top 2 rows now are sewn together, so all I need to do is bring the bottom one and sew it up. The one thing that you want to notice as you're sewing these patches together and these rows together is the way your seam allowances are facing, and you just want to be sure that when you sew the next seam that you continue to point the seam allowance in the same direction that it was originally sewn. So I'm just going to sew the bottom on and we'll be finished with this block. There you have it, Voter's Choice, and I'm ready to iron it and show it to you after it's all flat and nice and pretty. There we have it, our Voter's Choice quilt block, all finished and ready to go. So, happy voting and peaceful piecing. This is Penny Hallgren signing off from quiltblocklibrary.com. Voters, choose well.